Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest Channel Vision webinar brought to you today by NHC. I'm Martin Villeboy, Editor-in-Chief of Channel Vision, and today we'll be looking at the increasingly important area of edge networking, and specifically how NHC's STACKedge solutions can unify and streamline your customers' edge networking needs across edge routing, SD-WAN, and security. For today's presentation, we have an impressive group of experts, starting with Glenn Nelson, Partner and Vice President of Marketing and Business Development at NHC. Hello, Glenn. Thanks for being here today.
Hello, Martin.
We also have Brent Lucas, Vice President of Managed Services at NHC. Welcome, Brent.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
And here to help us providing some technical expertise today, we have NHC vendor partners Vincent Chu, Sales Engineer of Checkpoint Software Technologies. Good afternoon, Vincent.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for having me.
And we also have Ryan Beer, Director of Strategic Partnerships and Alliances at Bigleaf Networks. Thanks for being here, Ryan.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Of course, we welcome the kind of questions and comments from the audience. We want your participation. We'll mostly be talking about those things at the end of the presentation. But if you have anything to add, a comment, a discussion point, or a question, please hit the little Q&A icon at the bottom and send that in to us. At the end of the webinar, we will have a drawing for a couple prizes. We'll be giving away a drone, a HD video drone, and an Amazon gift card for those who stick around throughout the Q&A. In the meantime, I will turn things over to Glenn, and we'll get rolling. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Martin. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Again, thanks everybody for taking the time to learn about our SD-WAN and our Secure Edge solution products. Really excited to show this for you guys today. The first thing we're going to talk about that I'll be covering will be SD-WAN and the SASE market trends. That's the Secure Access Service Edge service marketplace. We think this is a super exciting spot for our channel to be operating in, and we're going to demonstrate throughout this session why we think you guys should trust NHC to be able to provide these services for your customers. We'll talk about our STACKedge solutions. And then we'll have a panel discussion with the experts from Checkpoint and from Bigleaf, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So please write down your questions, or you can type them in advance on the program here, and we will definitely cover them. So a little bit on NHC. We always have to have the NHC kind of commercial. We've been around since 2002, so we're one of the very early entrants in this marketplace of CSPs, that is Communication Solution Provider. And we kind of put an edge on that CSP name. We call ourselves the first stack solution provider. Why do we do that? Because on the left-hand side here, you'll see that we have our 3 stacks. And these represent basically the entire amount of services, solutions that we offer our customers, and in 3 different layers. The first one is everything to do with access, whether it be wireless or wireline. The second one is overlay services like UCaaS and our VoIP services and our unmanaged SD-WAN. And then the top is our managed services, which we're going to be discussing today, really exciting, some of those products that are very sticky for customers. We're a nationwide service provider. We're in all 50 states plus Canada, so we really do cover quite a bit of geography. And we have more than a couple hundred underlying service providers to give that access no matter where you are in the US or Canada. We're headquartered in Concord, Massachusetts, and we also have NOC centers in Rochester, New York, as well as 7x24 by 365 facility in Fort Myers, Florida. We are 100% U.S. stateside support teams. Every customer facing is an NHC employee and in the domestic USA. We have a user-friendly portal for both our partners and also our end customers that we're very proud of. And we like to use a line that we think sums up the whole experience for us. And that is that we obsess about the customer and the partner experience. Technology comes and goes, but really it's that experience, how well you interact with our organization that we're very proud of, how well we respond to customer requirements, how well we get things installed, how well that we fix them when they break. That overall experience is what we look for both our partners as well as our end customers. And we are 100% partner driven. We are a channel driven organization, no direct sales force. So let's talk a little bit about the SD-WAN marketplace. This is a follow-up to another webinar that we did last fall because we are super excited about where the SD-WAN market's going. It is by far and away the fastest growing growth segment of solutions for our channel. The latest that we got from a couple of different research companies is a compound annual growth rate of 35.3%. That's a very big number. Almost half of all of the marketplace, the current 10.25 billion, is in our footprint here in North America. So again, we're super excited about this. If you look in the access world, how does access grow? Maybe 3 or 4 percentage points compound annual growth rate. So that's why we believe SD-WAN is such a vital marketplace for us to be selling into. So some of those key growth drivers in terms of what's going on with SD-WAN today, that's really going to be the rising demand for cloud solutions, remote and hybrid workplaces, real big cost reductions that are going on, and also network agility. So that, and also integration with AI and SASE services, really these represent kind of the family of things that really are going to make SD-WAN grow and for our user audience to really be able to capture on. Okay, so whether you're looking at managed or outsourced solutions, this is a huge marketplace for us. So we're really, really very, very excited about it. So a few things in terms of trends that we uncovered. Microsegmentation is a very big thing on the security world for SD-WAN. So we isolate network segments, reduce the lateral movement in case of breaches. The cloud native and multi-cloud environment. So that's the world now we're in, where maybe customers have a couple of different clouds that they work with, and they're also very much interested in perhaps multi-solutions, different vendor options for SD-WAN that together represent an entire solution for that customer, but it might have 2 or 3 different flavors based upon the application of that given location or the function of that given location for the end customer. Also, managed SD-WAN. Outsourcing of SD-WAN, I think, is our big thing for 25, 26, 27. More and more customers are realizing that service providers, solutions providers like NHC can take some of that management, quality of service management of SD-WAN, take that off of having to manage that and allow us to manage that on behalf of them. And there's huge benefits for that customer to be able to do that. This managed service thing is a very big trend, and it can be put into such a way that it's a managed service you could literally pull off the shelf to fulfill a certain requirement the customer has without trying to manage everything that customer has all the way up to the desktop. So it's a really great opportunity for our channel to be able to participate in. And then just think about this. We know with SD-WAN that having 1 or 2, certainly 2 hot solutions is dynamite because it gives you a couple of different ways to interact with that SD-WAN network. So having a couple of different access solutions. Now combine that with 5G. So you have the wireless connectivity, wireless solutions in addition to a terrestrial solution for that SD-WAN application. That gives you a lot of power in the event one or the other fails, since both of them can be run hot. So these are the real big trends we're seeing with SD-WAN, and they're helping to drive all of that revenue. So while we're selling more of that broadband, while we're selling more access, customers are buying SD-WAN like crazy to manage that service, but they're also looking to outsource the management of that service because they don't have the employees, they don't have the talent pool to do it, but they want to capture the benefits of it. So let's take a look about the other aspect of it, and that would be, and that's SASE. So that SASE is the other sort of the security side of that whole intelligent edge networking business. And here we see with the SASE market, and that's that market growth right now has got a compound annual growth rate of 23.6. More than 60% of that market is in domestic North America. So this is kind of the hottest of the hot for our footprint in addition to SD-WAN. The key growth factors for why people are looking at SASE and why they're looking at intelligent edge networking really for us is the zero trust security adaptation. This is a trend in which you trust no one that enters your network, and you have to have the tools to be able to support it. Then SD-WAN, which we really talked about before, the benefits of SD-WAN. And then you have, security services edge. This is the SSE component. These are things like access control, threat protection, data security. These are all of the things that can be outsourced in the cloud, these additional services that can be eventually wrapped up into an overall SASE solution. And these are things that are really exciting for our channel to be able to offer, that combination of SSE and SD-WAN. And also all these customers that are now facing, whether it be in medical or in financial, the regulatory requirements that they must offer levels of security that before they really couldn't do without bringing in these additional service solutions. And then you have some of the emerging trends with SASE. So managed SASE, just like managed SD-WAN, whether it's a small business or medium or enterprise, especially in our channel where we're the king of small and medium, the outsourcing ability, the manageability is really hot right now. And then cloud native and SASE platforms go hand in hand. If the customer is involved with cloud applications today, Azure, et cetera, then they're also perhaps involved with cloud solutions from SASE solutions. So the real thing is, this is what customers are looking to do, and they're looking to perhaps outsource these features as well. Very, very hot stuff to talk about. So let's talk about sort of some of the intelligent networking challenges and restraints, and these all to our benefit. So data security. What does a customer do about data security? It's not getting any easier, and they have less and less ability to manage that in-house. They need to be able to outsource that to solid organizations like NHC that can bring in partners that we're offering, such as Checkpoint that we'll be talking about later on today. Legacy systems integration. You still got to connect the old stuff. A lot of end customers have a lot of old things, and you need that expertise. You need that knowledge of how to do that and how to bring your older network into the modern intelligent edge world, the modern SASE SD-WAN combination. And then to do any of these things, it's a tremendous shortage of skilled professionals. That problem is not going away. So you need an organization that has the economies of scale, that can bring in the people that we need, like an NHC, with skilled networking professionals that your typical small or medium-sized end customers simply cannot do. They don't have the resources, they don't have the expense, and frankly, they don't have enough for that one person or two people to be able to do to manage that end application. So these are the hot buttons in terms of where we're going. And why do we keep emphasizing this with our channel? Because the most important thing for us to think about is how to establish the longest possible, most strategic relationship with that end customer as a partner. And that is, yes, we are the king of selling network services. There's no question about that. And our channel is the king of selling network services. But if you want to stick to the customer more, if you want to grow with that customer, have less churn, have that customer buy more services from you in the long run, then you've got to look at what you can bring in with overlay services and what you can bring most importantly in with managed services. Once you are managing these things, like our STACKedge solutions, right? Once you're managing that process, then you are going to get a lot stickier and a lot stronger and a lot more stable with that customer over the long run. So with that, we'll turn this over to Brent Lucas, and Brent will talk to you about the STACKedge solutions.
Hey again, thanks, Glenn. Great intro. I really a couple of things you hit on. Obviously, the potential in the marketplace and the stickiness, right, of those products versus access, right? We never want to dismiss that. It's a great part of our business, but also I look at that as, there's the we've got the access. I jokingly say we have one foot in the data closet already. So, right, there's this opportunity we have to offer these additional services on top of that. So today we're talking about, what these StackEdge solutions look like in that network, the intelligent edge, right? What does the modern intelligent edge look like? Excuse me. And with that, there's a couple of things we're typically used to, right? With SD-WAN, a lot of people are typically talking about these things like dynamic decision making, right? You have a couple of different circuits there. You have the ability, the device or the application has the ability to look at those metrics, the performance, the quality, and figure out how to steer the traffic, right? That's a critical component of most modern SD-WAN. And the other, you know, equally important is the application awareness and prioritization, right? We want to make sure critical business applications get the priority they need. Bandwidth is getting cheaper. Certainly, the need to have that application awareness and prioritization is still there, but obviously, more bandwidth takes a little bit of the bite out of that piece of it. The second piece is the edge. Now, I want to make sure and Glenn alluded to it, the edge isn't always a piece of equipment, right? And as you'll hear from Vince a little bit later, SASE is a good example of that, where the edge is changing, right? We think about the edge as, hey, it's an appliance at a branch or at a data center. But with this distributed workforce, right, in this hybrid work environments, the edge is everywhere. And that really ties in. We'll talk a little bit more about ZTNA and the SASE solutions in a little bit. But even though that edge is changing and the edge is moving, it doesn't change the fact that we need to account for how does that individual or that application, how do we get to that application quickest? How do we reduce latency? How do we increase responsiveness for those critical applications? And there are certainly ways to do that, even if that first hop, right, isn't a SD-WAN router sitting, in a data center or in an office. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then the last piece is networking. What do we use to get those individuals, those users, or that location out to the internet? How do we steer that traffic? And equally as important, how do we secure that traffic? So combining SD-WAN with next-gen firewalls and ZTNA enforcement allows us to be able to accomplish that. Now, that doesn't always mean it's one piece of equipment. In a perfect world, right, we could do all of that by consolidating all of that routing and switching, into a single appliance. But very important in that last bullet, a single appliance or service, right? We might have to use multiple technologies to solve a customer's, their challenges. And that's okay. That's what we do. That's NHC's problem, if you will. If we need to use multiple technologies to solve the customer's problem, that's what we'll do. We're all in search of that unicorn box, right? That will do everything and solve all of our problems, but that's not always possible. So let's take a look at just the technology behind how we deliver that modern network edge. So there's really three main buckets here. The first being edge security. You've got your traditional firewall services that we typically, are selling, like unified threat management. Right, all those features that we know and love, right? The IPS IDS and URL filtering, content filtering. What we're going to focus more on today is the SASE and ZTNA zero trust. When we get to Vincent's portion, these are where we see the emerging technology, right? The unified threat management has been relatively static, and we've had those solutions for a while. Where we're starting to see, the emerging market is really in the SASE and ZTNA piece. And then in the middle, we have our SD-WAN. The typical things that we talk about WAN optimization. What do customers really want from SD-WAN? When we talk to them, it's resiliency, right? It's keep my business open, right? Keep us up and running. And SD-WAN is very good at that. It does a lot of other things well. And as we'll talk about also a little bit later, you're starting to see the convergence of SD-WAN and security, both from a vendor standpoint, where you've got SD-WAN vendors that used to just do SD-WAN now are starting to play in the security and SASE space, and you have security vendors who are starting to play more and more into the SD-WAN space. So there's definitely the convergence there, which really ties into the SASE conversation. The hybrid uplink support, again, a huge component of SD-WAN, being able to support multiple flavors of access and be able to bond and aggregate that access and that bandwidth. And at the end is really the basis of how we get some of that connectivity to the security and SD-WAN space. And that is, we do a lot of access. A lot of it is unmanaged, meaning we don't have necessarily a piece of equipment at the end just to manage that circuit. It might be going directly into our SD-WAN device or directly into our security device. But we also have Ubiquiti equipment that we can use for lightweight and SMB deployments. We use our Juniper Edge switches for giving us more options on how to hand and deliver access off to customers, as well as our PepLink routers for 5G LTE, and then Starlink satellite internet is in beta right now, and we hope to deliver that by the end of Q3. The last piece, also the last bullet, is pretty critical and important here. And that's that single pane of orchestration, right, for NHC to manage and deliver that service. Again, sometimes we need to take information from multiple places and pull that into a single pane where we can see it and manage it. And on top of that, that's sort of how NHC wants to manage that solution, how we want to provide that that best-in-class support. But there's also a huge effort underway right now within NHC and our IT organization to provide a lot of that visibility through our customer portal. Glenn had alluded to, right? We're really putting a lot of focus and effort into giving customers visibility to that network too. That takes some time to do that when you're talking about 10 or possibly 10 different vendors, or you need to be able to pull that information together and present it in a way that makes sense and is easy to see, easy to look at. But that is underway. The teams are putting a lot of work into that. And I think last but certainly not least is these are carrier agnostic solutions. You can come to NHC for the access. We can find that connectivity that is resilient. That we can make sure that your last mile is diverse, and that is a really critical component to this. When you're building a network with resiliency and you're looking for that redundancy in access, we need to make sure that last mile is as diverse as possible, to ensure that there is that maximum uptime. So that's sort of the overall the technology piece, and then the next piece is how what is the technology we use to deliver these solutions. So first we have the security STACKedge, and like I say, we're lucky enough to have Vincent from Checkpoint with us today. We've been working with Checkpoint for several years, and they have the traditional next-gen firewall stuff, VPN. But that's both. When we talk VPN, we're talking both site-to-site VPN, so site-to-site connectivity, as well as remote access VPN. We also have Fortinet in our portfolio. A little bit of a differentiator for Fortinet was, of course, that they have switches and wireless access points. So when we talk about delivering that in a single pane, that is a little there's a checkbox in the Fortinet column for sure, that we can kind of keep that all into the same environment. The clouds what we call the cloud stack is really our SD-WAN solutions. We again have been partnering with Bigleaf definitely seeing some really good growth and some really good momentum with Bigleaf. A key differentiator for Bigleaf, it is a public IP gateway, and we are delivering public IP access directly to the customer's end equipment or the NHC end equipment. That is a key differentiator. That is same IP failover both inbound and outbound from that SD-WAN appliance. And they've also recently launched onboard 5G and LTE support on those devices. As Glenn alluded to before, maybe that 5G or LTE isn't quite ready for being your primary access, but certainly a great option for backup or failover, even if in the case where you might not be ready to trust that as a primary method of access. We also have VeloCloud. Many may on this call may know VeloCloud was recently acquired by Arista, from Broadcom, and that is a very, very recent change for us. We are working closely with the account team and the technology teams at Arista to make sure that transition is as smooth as possible. And then sort of that first layer, the base layer, is the network STACKedge, and that's what we talked about before about, if you're just looking for a lightweight SMB offering, we have, the Ubiquity gear with that again includes both switches and WAPs, keeps it into a single pane. We use the Junipers for more of an access demarc piece of equipment, and then from the wireless standpoint, we have Starlink in beta. Hope to deliver that by the end of Q3. And the Peplink devices, we will expand what we use those devices for. Those of you who have done business with us in the past, we've typically used those as just an IP pass-through. Here's your public IP. Peplink offers a wide range of appliances that we can leverage to deliver a seamless failover with Starlink and other services as well. So definitely look forward to talking more in the future about where we want to take our wireless offering. So let's pivot and talk to and let our strategic technology partners talk to you guys a little bit. Like I mentioned before, NHC has partnered with Checkpoint for 5 years. They've been a great technology partner for us. I can't say enough about Vince, who joins us on the call today. As we've walked down this path, the technology, the rapid pace in which the technology in the security space is changing is difficult to keep up with. And we didn't have great partnerships, with our technology partners, right? If we didn't have that close, tight, we meet bi-weekly, we talk through the challenges, we talk through what's coming, and this is a huge benefit to NHC. Not just because we can have Vince join, a webinar and talk with us, but it is about that tight relationship and understanding where this is going, and he's been very open in Checkpoint as well, joining pre-sales calls if we have a challenging situation where we need that support, we have that support. And again, thank you, Vince, for joining. And we also have Ryan from Bigleaf, and we looked at Bigleaf several years ago, and we were looking, where does this fit? And as we saw the market and we saw where SD-WAN was going, we really saw the benefit that Bigleaf could provide us. And again, they've been a fantastic partner. Ryan's been fantastic. Again, this is why this is part of why we can be successful, is because of the strength behind the technology. And I really appreciate the support and the relationship, with specifically the two guys that are on the call, but also just, the vendors in general. So with that, I will hand it over to Vincent Chu, and he can lead us on.
Awesome. Thank you there, Brent. And I can't thank you enough for inviting me to join. Happy to do it. Always love to give, Checkpoint a little spotlight. All right. Next slide. So for those of us who have been fortunate enough to be in cybersecurity for 30 plus years, you might know Checkpoint as just a firewall company. And we did invent the stateful inspection, So we've been around for a long time. Check Point has also evolved into a global cybersecurity powerhouse since. We protect over 100,000 organizations, over 182 countries, from ambitious startups all the way to like the Fortune 500 giants that we all know. With 3 decades in cybersecurity innovation, Check Point has consistently stayed ahead of cybersecurity threats in the digital age, right? Nowadays, it's all about AI. AI threats is everywhere, and that's really enhancing a lot of the cybersecurity threats. Our experience is backed with our ability to adjust, to continuously grow with our product line. And we are, as you can see here, we're publicly traded on NASDAQ. However, our strength lies in our people with 7,000 plus security experts worldwide, not just from original Check Point employees, but again, because we're constantly growing, we have had a lot of acquisitions, such as Perimeter 81, and that's something we'll be talking about today. And we're all just united by the mission of delivering cutting edge protection across every layer of your enterprise IT. On top of that, we are peer reviewed. So in Miracom's 2025 Enterprise and Hybrid Mesh Firewall Report, Check Point was ranked #1 in threat prevention across all the categories, including malware blocking, phishing prevention, and intrusion detection. And this is a peer-reviewed testing that validates our commitment to the real-world security effectiveness, especially in critical first 24 hours of an attack. So again, being around for 30 plus years, we've had a lot of tools. We do have a lot of tools to protect your whole enterprise environment, right? We protect it on-prem, cloud-based security, your workforce. But today I do want to focus on our hybrid, the edge and hybrid mesh environment. So this is our Harmony SASE architecture. So in the hybrid mesh model, which decentralizes security by embedding controls directly into the network nodes from edge devices and branches, as Brent alluded, edge is no longer just your firewall on premise. It is anything that you have point, right? Your remote workforce, your cloud, wherever you store any of your data or your applications, right? The important part is that we are seamlessly integrated with all of these edge nodes and deliver fast and scalable and resilient protection. So why does this work? We are moving the security closer to the edge, the data, as well as the cloud, wherever they may sit, right? Again, post-COVID, everyone is trying to get back into a office kind of environment, but that's not happening. A lot of people still working remote. So we had a lot of things in the cloud. We're trying to utilize what people have without changing too much of your infrastructure. So that is a very important part. And that's what we encounter a lot these days, because they've already invested a lot into the cloud, but they also want to bring it back into a central location to collaborate, whatever it may be. So with this solution, as you can see with this diagram, we are delivering on what the customer wants, right? We're making sure all the remote users can access all the applications and data as they need, be it from the branch, on the cloud, or on the go. So why is this better than a cloud-only solution? So local enforcement means faster response and less traffic redirection. We're giving you the most POPs available. So with Check Point, we have 70 plus POPs worldwide. So regardless of where you sit, we will connect you to your closest local POP. What we like to do, part of our demos usually, it's got the pizza test, right? Go connect, try to order a pizza, right? Google closest pizza to you, where does that direct you to? If you are sitting in Boston and you're getting a pizza from LA, that's not going to help you very much. You'll be very hungry. So again, another thing great about this hybrid environment is the greater resilience, right? So even if one service or one server POP fails, you have multiple connection points. And again, that's the hybrid mesh, keeping you connected all the time, regardless where you are. And this gives you the ability to scale, right? This gives you the ability to scale as you grow, and not even, if you're fortunate enough, you're only scaling up, but in hard times, if you do need to scale down, we could simply turn some of that down, and you're not paying for anything that you don't need to. And again, this helps reduce your cloud cost overall, because I think that's one major thing that people didn't realize during COVID was, great, move to the cloud, so accessible, but so expensive, right? So a lot of our customers, that's what we're seeing a lot of time now. Just the ability to use what you have, to turn down what you don't need to save some cost, and look at other solutions that can help you the best.
No, it's great, Vince. And actually, I want to just quickly highlight, really the center of the screen I think, really does paint the picture the best. You've got down at the bottom, you've got, desktop clients, you got mobile clients, or you have agentless access, meaning, they might be logging into the application web page just to get to those critical components. And then in the center, you have that private access, internet access, and the SaaS security. All of that, right, is being policed by sort of that single policy, or in a single place, right? Maybe multiple policies, but you're kind of you're able to manage that, that policy management, and that really is, right, that lends itself to that zero trust, right? When you can get that granular, you can really say, hey, I might have a contractor. I only want them to have access to one IP or one application, whatever it might be. Or I want to really start segmenting even my my employee base. I want to make sure that maybe someone from the engineering team doesn't have access to the finance, applications or that part of the network. This is these are the things that allow that zero trust, allow us to get that granular, right, from a policy management standpoint. And I think that, to me, is the critical component. And of course, I think on the bottom left, that ability to integrate with the biggest identity providers. So ease of use, right? Ease of making sure that you are able to enforce those policies and enforce, access management.
That's exactly it. I think a lot of people hear ZTNA and they want to chase that ZTNA dream. Single pane of glass, another great term that people love to chase down. Yeah, our platform essentially does allow you to do that, right? It's a single infinity portal. You log in, as you mentioned, because these are separate things, you don't necessarily want all of them in a single page, right? We have, a section for private access, page for internet access, and another tab for your SaaS security, right? Again, everything in the platform is built off of ZTNA principles, right? Zero trust, network access. So a user has no rights. They cannot access anything when you just add them to the platform. Until you grant them access to certain things, they're hands off. So yeah, you just build on that as you need.
Great. Well, thank you, Vince. Appreciate the overview, and I'll have a chance to ask you some hard questions here in a few minutes. All right, so let's move on to Ryan. Again, I know I mentioned, Ryan and Bigleaf have been a great partner, and we'll let him dive right in and talk about their solutions.
Yeah, thank you, Brent. Appreciate the time today, everyone. Give you a little bit of insight into our company. We were founded in 2012. We're headquartered out of Portland, Oregon. All of our support team and our entire network operations team is US based out of the Pacific Northwest. So that's where our company is headquartered. We have over 300 partners now and over 8,000 customer locations. So we're very proud of those numbers and very proud of that growth that we've had, with partners like NHC. For us in the SD-WAN space, and like, Brent and Glenn mentioned, it's really the edge solution that we focus on, really WAN network optimization. I think when you look at different flavors of SD-WAN and how the market has transitioned a little bit, you'll see security-focused, firewall-based SD-WAN solutions, and then kind of the other end of the equation, where we sit, security agnostic, firewall agnostic, bring your own security, bring your own circuits, and layering us into the network to really handle optimizing network traffic in real time, making sure that any applications that a customer and then partners are selling to customers that they're running over their internet connections will be able to perform regardless of minor or major internet issues that might happen. So things like packet loss, latency, jitter, hard outages that might happen over these different types of internet connections. Our role in the network is to make sure that they're mission critical applications are not affected by those internet interruptions that might occur. So key applications being your hosted voice system, your Teams call, your Zoom calls like we're on right now, cloud-based medical record, point of sale for retail franchisees and chains, those types of applications that customers are using to run their business, make money for their business, ensuring that those types of applications are not affected by internet issues that might happen, and us doing that automatically for them in real time in a very easy way. I mentioned the firewall agnostic. That's kind of the second bullet point here, is integrating with any existing firewall or ISP. So when we're layered in, we can aggregate up to 4 internet connections at the same time, and that being 5G, 4G, satellite, for Starlink, like what's coming with an NHC soon. Obviously, fiber, coax, DSL, the more traditional legacy network environments that we're seeing. But the growth of 5G and satellite, these more flexible type internet connections, being able to aggregate those circuits with a primary or use them just as backup is a very flexible environment for a customer to be able to run all of their applications now over those circuits. And then the last point here, kind of obvious, but for us, being perfect for MSPs, partners that are selling these types of applications, these types of connectivity solutions to customers, layering us in to make sure that that experience for the customer is always there. The user experience for the different applications that they're using. All right, so I won't go through every bullet point here, don't worry, but I just wanted to make sure we saw some of the key differentiators. And like Brent mentioned, the biggest one for us is being able to issue and give out public IP addresses to a customer's network separate from their ISPs that they have. So for partners selling multiple circuits, selling cloud applications like hosted voice systems and Teams and these types of applications to customers, making sure those applications can run over a single IP address across redundant internet connections that are there. Benefit for the customer being that if we see through our monitoring traffic that there's packet loss, latency, jitter, with the IP address staying the same, there is no dropping and reestablishing anytime failover needs to occur across multiple different internet connections. So that keeps voice calls online, keeps video calls from buffering. Any sort of jitter and latency type issue is no longer affecting those applications. And I think the story we hear all the time is, a partner or NHC gets an alert that a customer is having a circuit problem. They tell their partner, their agent, their customer, say, hey, just wanted to let you know that that circuit issue was resolved. We got it fixed for you. And their response is always, oh, great. Didn't know I was having a circuit issue. Thanks for letting me know. And that's the story we hear all the time, where the end user is not feeling the pain of those circuit issues because they have a system in place now to make those automated routing decisions for those key applications. A couple other things here, just for partner benefits. I think, for us, the relationship with NHC being, so huge and such an advantage for the partners that are selling these solutions is being able to have one vendor for all of those solutions, being able to have a go-to contact, whether it's me directly for any Bigleaf information going to NHC. They are, by far solutions experts in what we do at this point, but being able to have that one vendor support and, the bundle approach of being able to provide a full solution to your customer, not kind of having to piecemeal everything together. That's what we're all here for. Fast sales cycles. I think that's a huge advantage for us, and very different than I think sometimes a misconception in the SD-WAN market is it can be difficult to install, difficult to sell. It's going to extend my sales cycles. For us, it's the exact opposite. We do very fast turnarounds because we're not replacing existing security. There's no compliancy changes or LAN firewall changes for a customer now to make sure that all their applications can have reliability and redundancy in their network. And then you can see some gross retention rates and net retention rates there. Those are, that's what we're all here for. Obviously, help, make money is the goal, but obviously providing good solutions to customers, making these solutions very sticky. I think sometimes connectivity can come with a lot of churn, just by design, because people trying to get good deals on circuits and can change them out. But when you have something like this in place, changing internet connection really doesn't matter anymore. You can do that very easy now and not have to re-IP anything in your network once you have something like this in place. So just making it a very sticky overall network connectivity solution. Yeah. And, similar story here. I think it just kind of, explains what we do: low churn, faster installs for commissions, enabling more revenue. And, that whole story being, partnership with NHC, bringing the access and us being able to aggregate, provide reliability and redundancy for those circuits and applications. A quick case study. So this was a customer, we had with NHC. It was kind of an interesting scenario where it was a little bit of a scramble after the fact of a customer. I think this was kind of right when we started working together. I think right when we started seeing where these types of opportunities are going to fit. But a customer decided to go a different direction with a different SD-WAN provider, seeing that they weren't going to be able to get a public IP address from that provider. Kind of had to make a quick pivot, and we jumped in very quickly with the NHC team. They recognized quickly that, this was not going to meet their needs across all of their locations for voice, being able to keep voice calls live across a single public IP address, automated QoS, not having to set manual policies for each location that they had. As soon as Bigleaf was deployed and replacing the old SD-WAN provider, our policies were automatically in place because that's what we have out of the box for our service. So that was a great win. Still happy customer, keeping their network up and making sure that they, don't have any drop calls. That was a huge point for them for being a city, state government customer.
Yeah, and Ryan, I think it does speak. This was a great example of how quickly we can deploy Bigleaf, right, when it's necessary, and the limited amount of information. Since you don't have to touch the customer's network, really, they're changing in this scenario like this, they're changing the public IP on their firewall. Everything else in their network stays the same, but you're not providing that resiliency, right, across the network for voice, right, the quality of service. Any IPsec VPN traffic is now also getting that resiliency across it. So great. This was a great story to tell. And we have seen more, right? There's definitely been more where, a solution came in and it was thought that VeloCloud would be the better fit. But as we talked through the solution with the customer and their needs, it turned out that really what they needed was Bigleaf, right? It was the better fit. It was the right solution. So again, thanks both of you. I know we're running a little bit short on time, so I am going to shorten, Glenn, the panel discussion. I think we'll just ask maybe a couple of, or maybe just one question to each guy. I'll try to pick the hardest one I have.
Get that. Yeah.
So Vince, we'll start with you. And I think, this is we did allude to this a little bit, but, can you explain a little bit more how ZTNA enforces the least privileged and application access, and how that validation happens through, say, for example, a customer's MFA provider?
All right. So ZTNA. A lot of people like the term ZTNA, but don't really understand how to apply it and all the principles behind it, right? So parts of the ZTNA is identity. How do you identify your users? So again, with the previous slide, you saw the different integrations we have. Your typical with Entra ID or something, we could use SCIM, where we know who the users are when they log into the network, right? So based off of the user's information and their login information, we are enforcing, regardless which part of the solution you're using, we're enforcing that user's strict access to only specific networks, applications, be it from your client or from the branch offering, as well as the web-based portal, right? Again, those are more for like your contractors, where when they log in, we can enforce strictly only access to, I don't know, SSH. But yeah, those are the different methods that we kind of use. It's kind of a combination of all the identity integrations that we have, as well as granular policy that we could control, but we could use access to.
Perfect. Thanks, Vince. So Ryan, again, like I said, I know we're a little bit short on time. I want to make sure we have time for the Q&A. So Ryan, a quick one for you. And I kind of alluded to this one, but this is one of my favorites, so I want to ask this one. Can you describe how Bigleaf optimizes existing site-to-site and remote access VPN, right, for a customer who's going to maintain their existing firewall solution or potentially get that firewall solution from NHC?
Yeah. Yeah, for us, we consider it a VPN optimization. You're going to mention the same thing, but the single IP address, same IP failover applies to that story almost the exact same way. As soon as Bigleaf IP is updated onto the firewall, those site-to-site VPNs are now running over a single IP address with multiple redundant circuits inside of that single IP address. So anytime there is an outage or a significant enough degradation issue on a circuit, that VPN can route across either ISP in real time in the upload or download direction without having to drop and reestablish the IP address. And that's a significant issue that a lot of people deal with, when they don't have this type of service in place, is the dropping and reestablishing of an IP address, and that requiring manual intervention many times to bring that VPN back online and getting it back up on the second IP. So alleviating that concern of reestablishing, changing IPs every single time a circuit has a problem, that's exactly what we're there for. So VPN optimization with same IP failover is a good takeaway there.
Oh, it's one of my favorite advantages and features, that a customer is just getting by the very nature of how the service is delivered. And I think that gets lost sometimes, especially we've talked to vendors who, they don't want to have to build redundant tunnels, right, to every location. And many don't, right? Many, just like you said, it's more of a manual, oh, it's down. I've got to go take some action to try to get the back. Even if you have those redundant tunnels, there is downtime every time that tunnel disconnects and has to reestablish over another IP, right? There is, in many cases, significant downtime while that happens. And this, essentially prevents that from happening. It truly is a huge advantage, as far as that same IP failover and keeping that session persistence.
One last thing I'll say is just trying to change it from a reactive networking experience for customers to a proactive networking experience, to where when issues happen, you have a system in place that's mitigating those problems so you can actually get them fixed without, it being such a fire drill every time something like that happens.
Great. So I know again, we went a little bit longer, I think, than we had anticipated. I just want to, in closing, I would just like to say, when you talk through these and you look at all the information it's a lot of information. And when I look at a couple of the slides, the first thing that comes to my mind is, we want to be part of the conversation. We want to become that trusted advisor. We want to work with the channel. We want to be involved. If there's a question, please reach out, right? Reach out to your channel managers. We have the technical staff behind that. If we want to schedule some time to talk through more of these solutions, I'm happy to. Our solutions engineering teams are more than happy to. So again, if there's anything that comes, if you come away with this with a lot of questions and more questions than answers, we are here to help, right? We want to be that trusted advisor. We want, as these solutions get more complex, that's how this really needs to work. Because even some of the examples these guys, we don't know unless we ask the right questions, right? And we have to be able to ask those.
We got about 5 minutes, I think. And just before we turn it over to Martin to ask some of the questions you guys have put in, I just want to sum it up by saying end customers are buying managed edge solutions in droves right now. And it's really our job to illustrate why you want to specify NHC for these types of solutions. And we hope that today we kind of kick that off in your experience and working with NHC, that we've really shown you guys, you folks out there, that NHC is here with you to sell those managed solutions that we are so excited about and talking about today. Martin, if you have a couple of questions, I think we got a few more minutes.
Yeah, we got a few minutes here. We got a few technical questions, and then we'll get on to maybe some sales level questions. Kind of wrap this up. For start, I think this one is kind of for Vincent. Vincent, how granular can policy controls be within your SASE platform? Is it down to the user identity, device type, specific applications?
Yeah, both. You get down to the user, location, and the network that they're on.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And we have one coming in here for Bigleaf. Can you have 3 internet connections with Bigleaf? Excuse me. Example: fiber, coax, and a cradle point.
Yeah, up to 4 actually. So yes.
Wow.
Plus.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to stick with you, Ryan. Can you walk us through kind of how Bigleaf achieves session persistence within the same IP failover during an ISP outage, especially kind of in terms of the services like VoIP and video that are kind of sensitive?
Yeah, yep. So as soon as we're deployed outside of the firewall, it's pinging each circuit in the upload and download direction to our POPs 10 times per second so that we can see any packet loss, latency, jitter in either direction. And if our packet monitoring sees a significant enough issue on a circuit that's going to affect a VoIP call or a team session or whatever the application, we will make the routing decision in real time based on the severity of that circuit condition and then how sensitive the application is that's being used. And when that change happens, the IP address doesn't change when it moves between ISP1 and ISP2. So this Teams call or any video call, voice conference that might be happening might move back and forth 4 or 5 times in the middle of a call to keep avoiding issues that are happening. And the person using that phone call or that video conference doesn't know that that's happening.
Okay. Very good. And you have a few more minutes. If you want to squeeze a question in, kind of go ahead. I'm going to go jump back to you, Vincent. In your ZTNA solution, how do you integrate with the customer's existing identity infrastructure and what ease of deployment options exist for the common IDPs?
Yeah, the most common that I see really are the Microsoft Entra ID, so either Azure previously or even Okta. Those are the 2 that I encounter the most, I would say. But say if a company has like a legacy deployment where they're still using on-prem, we could do that as well. It will just be SSO. It won't be as elegant, but obviously it'll still work. But one of the great benefits of actually using Entra ID, if you support that, is we actually support multiple domains. So if, a great use case is, say, a customer has went through acquisitions and now they have 2 or 3 domains, right? You could integrate all of them into the single solution without adding separate tenants.
Very good. Very good. I actually have so many questions. Maybe we should have gone a little longer, but I'm going to wrap this up with something a little more general and kind of open it up to the room. A lot of this discussion is about, starting with access and building on access. Maybe we want to talk about kind of how that changes as we start with access and move on through to overlay and managed services. How does that kind of change who's in the buying circle and who's in the room in the discussions that we're having, as we kind of move up the stack?
If you look at the access side, it's a fairly transactional thing. So, we usually someone in that IT end customer, since there are no telecom managers left, would specify something. But then as you move up the stack into an overlay product or a managed product, then you're going to involve a lot more with IT management to get it done. And the answer there lies in getting a very detailed and thorough design. And so that it makes it easier for us to implement and also to talk with our technical people in detail. The customer may have a preconceived notion that they have a Fortinet solution in mind, when in fact it could be much more beneficial for them to have a Bigleaf combined, with a checkpoint solution that could give them more and for less money. And I think that's a very important thing for end customers to consider.
To follow on to that, right? Yes, the conversation definitely gets more complex, and I think what we will all benefit from as we all grow into in the number of solutions. As our options grow, the conversation may get a little bit more challenging, right? We have to make sure that we're asking the right questions. To Glenn's point, that there may have been a preconceived notion that I want this or I think I need this. But through the conversation, we find out there's much more to it. We often uncover a lot more during that discovery process. And the earlier on we can achieve that discovery process, it becomes a much more, your time to install, right? Your quote to cash, if you will, becomes a lot faster if you really understand those requirements. So working together with the channel, I think we can get to that point where we are, right, where that discovery piece and NHC saying, hey, we've got these options. Let's find the right one. Let's future-proof that network, right? Let's figure out what is the customer, what challenge are we solving? I think that's a question that we want to ask more, right? What is the challenge that we're solving?
Okay. We do have some more questions coming in, Glenn, but we will make sure that all those questions get to the team at NHC after that happens. If you guys want to just shout out one last time how folks maybe should get a hold of you if they do want to kind of follow up on this?
I think just channel sales at nhcgrp.com or talk to your local NHC representative if you're a partner or through your TSD that works with NHC.
Very good. And again, you can always contact us and we'll make sure to get that message to Glenn and Brent. Again, thank you, gentlemen, for your insight and for the excellent work. Today, we look forward to the kind of following this conversation up in articles and sessions moving forward at CVX. And keep in mind, we will be doing a drawing when we're done, and we'll announce kind of the winners of that over LinkedIn and plus a little wrap up of today's session. Finally, thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you for your insight and intelligence. And everyone else, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.